Gizma, ring and bell. There, that might be better.
Hello.
Go ahead. She's currently in Dharbhala in India, North India. And she's got some business that she has to do at the nunnery where she lives, so she can't be with us for the afternoon, but I just wanted to introduce you anyway.
Look at that smile. You can see it right over here. I can see your smile across the room.
That's that lady. That lady.
This one here. That's
Hello,
right.
and best leg, everyone.
Hello.
So
That's fine.
I'm very sorry. So I'm going to apologize to all of you because
Apologize.
suddenly call me from the Tibetan government office. 2 leaders visiting in our nunnery. So I have to welcoming to them. So I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for today. So I'm just going to tell you something short, some also short and some few words. So now I'm going to tell in Tibetan language. I'm so sorry. So yeah,
No. So
아니 땅에 티카시지 라이데 가리 쉬야 가리 인라비나
that's
다 다저던바기 가르송 요래라나 아니 다니 다기 권인기 신의 수시 권도 교를 디숭교래 다 다니 다기 권인기 라디 가르송거래라나 소소랑이 데 마음발라 소소 마음베 소소 미지기 도단다 소소라 아니 디기 칸데 주민다 아니 소소 미지 기부 칸데 기 고기 유메데 니 현다기 라발라 요마레스 소소 라발라 요레스 디데 인디 아니 마음바기 미지 계단당 아니 도단데도 칸데 제초데 소소 라발라 요레 디데 인디 아니 따치 소소 랑이 다 진짜 상마 아니 소소 라발라 요레스 디데 숨고레스 당버디실라나
so here. So Gizma Ring and Bell gave a brief explanation on a very popular quote that has been known for the Buddha that has spoken in himself. And the meaning of that quote, or if you want, you're welcome to. The meaning of that quote is that one's own future happiness is not in the hands of others, it's in your own hands. Yeah. So whatever happiness that we're looking for, it really is depending on ourselves and not in anybody else's hands. Lasula.
근데 다 다니다기 권인기 수야데 소소랑이라 아니 다시 소소랑이라 야고체고레 제대체고레 수야데 다 소소랑이 집보래 야고체고라 아니 신다 야로도야 데 계자 말레스 좋아 때나 맞아 이나 self compassion the self cherishing 레도아 다 소소랑이라 소소 미세 칸데 요메데 소소 디기 칸데 요메데 소소 라발레 요레 레기 숨드 거슬라 self cherishing 기 토네 자원이 제 요마레스 다 기시 랑진싱 기 토네 제바이나 아니 소소 다니다기 권인기 레 치디 다다 두투기 요마레스 칸나나 딜라디 다니다기 권인 차기 요마레 소소랑이라 칼리팅이 차기 요레스 self cherishing 기 토네 아니 지 랑진싱 지고 코네 디체데비나 소소라네 세마이키바 차야 멘탈 디 차야 아니 지 랑치고 삼노탄데야 아니 drobo maraya 아니 lonely 레기도 왔다 지수 상마 영화에 대 가래라나 아니 랑진싱 토네 용기 요상 아니 다저던바 이 다니다기 권인기 라데 소소 미체 칸데 요메데 소소 라발레 요레 소야데 랑진싱 집에 토네 요요 마레스 다 다니다기 권인기 라데 소소라 self compassion 제베 토네 미신다라양 다저 미신라양 아니 닝지기에 토네 신의 팬도체 지소를 셴데슈에 딘데기 제베 토네 미신라 팬도 좀나 아니 소소랑이라 아니 라싱디 소소라니 지 기고용야 미세던데 덴바 용야 아니 딘데 인사 아니 다시 담바기 다니다기 고인기 소야데 딘데기 토는 순고래서
So the meaning of the first line, I don't have the exact quote, but the meaning of the first line is to regard oneself in a good light, yeah, and not in a way that is understood like a form of self-cherishing, like me, I, only me, but in the light of self-compassion, yeah. So it's not like just grasping and just keeping very closed-minded, just us and only us, but when we understand that our own happiness is in our own hand, then this introverted focus on the self is not a thing that is negative. You know, it's not. It's a self-compassion rather than a self-cherishing perspective. Yeah. So, and because we do understand that our happiness is not dependent on others, but it's in our own hand, then therefore that happiness is only coming about through our own effort, yeah, making our own effort. So this focus on one's own effort, one's own self, is not to be seen in a negative way, because if we just but if we only focus on ourselves alone, then we really not, and we don't end up with a lot of friendships, or we be very so selfish. In a selfish manner, we lose friendships and become very lonely indeed, you know. But there is sort of a way that we look after ourselves, but it's not in a negative way. Yeah? So this is sort of the main meaning of this quote that is being spoken by the Buddha. So then when we think about compassion, self-compassion, but in general compassion as well, the thought of being of help, being of benefit to others, if we do those sorts of activities, then naturally our own happiness is going to be coming about. Yeah. So this is a brief description of what the quote is talking about. Lasula, Ken.
근데 지당 self compassion 레드랑 self cherishing 이게 발라 개바 가리요래라나 봐. 다 수수수수나 저와 지역을 위해서는 제국이요래. 수수수나 저와 매나 맞아 수수나 저와 매나 미신다를 저와 제리 지당으로 신경 말아 봐. 근데 인디 수수나 저와 제 수수 self compassion 레디 수수 지보를 저와 집에 되는 신라니디 신라 통존 제당 아니 신라지 팬도메가 제가 신 여러들 기제 디시고 말해 self compassion 레디가 소다 배나 수수랑이라 제대 맞으베이나 다 배나 수수수수라 저와다 수수수수라디 지가 제대 맞으베이나 아주 미션을 팬도 제투에 보라 요 말봐 미션라 아주 이지 팬도 지오고 삼나야 수수를 제하면 수수만 기베다 수수를 제하면 수수만 기베 차르고라 수수랑이라 배나 I had myself loving 수수수수라 my 디차데베이나 다 수수 미세 된다는 바 용투 말에 수수를 기부 용그 말에 수수를 기부면은 수수를 신라 기부 제토에 요 말어 근데 인디 탐보 수수수수라네 네 제와 제리 개침보레스 다 임바이나 대대 제와데 신차 매베 토네 다 랑친제 랑 나랑지 기부 용나 나랑지 나 팬도 용나 신달 가리네 신의 기부디 용이 제가 신나가 개 삼당 거에네 가면은 점리디 나오나 나랑 집부 팬도 나랑 집부 기부되고도 나랑 당하기 아니 뿐뿐체다 나랑 부부도 겨지 기부되고도 신의 길세다 신당하기 레로당 신다 진짜 가리네 컨셉이 기부 용나 마요 나라 개 되었으면 딘데 삼도다리 요 말에서 봐 기시 딘데 삼도다는데 왜나 딘디 셀프 컴패션 차기 오 말에 딘디 가르쳐를 라운진 제르신 차르고 봐 디 차르도 그것을 기시 self cherishing the level이나 아니 아주 둘이 삼도당당데 개벌치에 내가 차오르 디 차르도 그것은 다시 담박이 다니다기 고인디 송야데 아니 가르친 거래라나 rāngla jete che wore, ina yang dede jete che dangde, shenla tembe bone, pansun ta tenjungi thone rwa, ngazo khande de che ina, mi pajola ra legi yore, tende indi mi pajola de la samlo tangwa gone, ane sosola jete che da sosola jewa che da tende che wore, di chi sungore. Di nangne ane densan tambling nanglo la, ta nganzo namgyu self-searching che 가르치 wona lebagi level lotion de mang thaji tiche ta so ane lebagi samle to bang kang ki thone pha ne samle to so la ane nganzo la khare lego la na ran chen sen de shukchum bo legi orwa ta ting sang gi so la lebagi lotion de ke chumbo redi yinba yina level lotion de nang samlu gi lotion de shien de pe ke chumbo chagi res ba Tinde indi nang samlugi lotion de ke chumbu chagi sa ene ngazo ting sang da sa ene chi rang da shen da ene chi kharela chi pendo du goya gi samlu zo de kang goya zo de kharela na nang shen gi nang samlugi shen yarge ta wa thone ene tanda tinde gi ku yang bo gi samlo le bia dang ene chi ninje da chamba de ninje le de tinde gi thone ane chik sambutan gwade ane nga zuke chumbu chagi to sangi chiso tang.
Drink of water.
No, I have a cold.
Oh, okay.
I
There's
had
a lot of talking, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when we discuss about self-compassion, there is a difference between self-compassion and self-cherishing. Yeah. So of course we need to love ourselves in order to love others. Without loving ourselves, we're not really able to love others. Yeah. There is a difference though between the self-compassion and self-cherishing. So in terms of self-cherishing, it's really solely focused on ourselves alone, that overemphasize love of just ourselves. Yeah. So for example, just loving ourselves doesn't really serve as a benefit or helping others. Yeah. But we need to have this self-love, this self-appreciation, because we end up hating ourselves. Yeah. And then on that basis, if we're not able to achieve any meaningful life, any useful life, if we have this negative view of ourselves. So that's why that self-love is important. And if we have that negative view, but if we only have our own happiness as our main focus, then we're not going to be in a position to think of others either. Yeah. And we think, well, I don't need others, I don't depend on others, or it's focused solely on just our friends and families, our relatives, or even our co-workers and so forth, but it's still very limited. Yeah. But if you think about it deeply, then you can see that there's not much difference in this way of thinking compared to the animal realm. Yeah. They're just very focused on themselves and their close ones. Yeah. But what part of the meaning of what the Buddha has said is that our happiness is dependent on others. In order for us to experience that, all of our happiness is a dependent arising. Yeah. So yes, we think of ourselves, but we understand it in the context of it being dependent on others. Yeah. So we need to have this self-love and self-compassion. So, but in these days in our world, there's such a strong focus on our brain, this substantial ways of thinking and this material way of thinking in terms of our brain. And because that is so overly emphasized, then that basis for self-cherishing really comes very strongly. Yeah, is in turn really over emphasized. But still, this self-love is very important. But if it turns into a self-cherishing, solely focused on oneself alone, then this causes problems as well. So not only thinking that about our brain, but also our internal environment or landscape, yeah, our feelings and our emotions, yeah. So and we can consider about the way that we live our life and what's important in living our life, and then what we're able to understand and make our mind much more open-minded, much more wider. And this is done via ways of cultivating more love, more compassion in our lives. Let's hear again. And Chen, are you able to hear?
Yes.
Yep,
Yes,
great.
I can.
Great, thanks. All right, let's.
Yeah. 아니, 데인디, 아니, 나도 남규네 미세 나로라, 나랑수기 미세 니레 니레 나로라, 랑친신당, 아니, 나도 랑친신대당 self compassion 다 self cherishing 니데 투두도와, 노르도와. 다 미카시 가르래기도라나 미션달라 닝지 체고래 잠바 체고래도 어느 미션달라 탄도 두고래 미션달라 다직 디체고래도 어느 나랑라 소소를 많이 닝지 체고 말বে 나랑라 팬도 두고 말베스 다가 딜라 엘레 가마 마미 엘레 쉐디가 솔라 콘텐츠 디와타 디와탄게 디치소나 나서 파기야 파조도 디고스나 디디와리도와 다 디디 미션달라 팬도 체고래 미션달라 아니 디체고래 라디 소소라 아니 지금 팬더 마셔봐 소소를 자와 마셔봐 근데 자원이는 말해서 근데 인디 기시 당부 알리 소소를 자와 마시나 소소랑이라 자와 컴패션으로 다 자와 러디가서라 차파 숙청보다 대해 돈이 자와데 러기로 말와 자와들라 망보지요 다 근데 인디 소소랑이라 자와 지구고요래 이나 소소랑이라 자와 제당데 아니 가래라나 다 당부 소소를 자와 마셔봐이나 알리 수수기 수보당 수수미질라 저와 마시나 셴라 저와 제단식이 말해 셴라 저와 제단 마시나 셴라 팬더도 더요 말봐 근데 인디 아니 지금 차신의 대회 터네 아니 디체디 아니 마시나 기시 근데 차신의 대회 터네 소소를 직세와 제단의 제베이나 아니 소소를 강에 숙청부 태기어봐 다 차신의 대회 터네 아니 소소라 자와 숙청부 제대기나 아니 가르쳐올라나 아주 미디 소소라 강에 충사지 대비나 디야 쇠마도 계자 데스 년보 저거 춘춘지 마셔버리나 계전 소소라 지금 춘춘지 쉐버리나 디야 쌤다 쇠마도가 안디 강에 동네 쇠마도가 용거로 다 디데 용야디 가래라나 소소라 랑친신내 숙체다 gengi 중레마도 딜라 데려 랑친신데라 아니 닝지 self compassion 라디 다 탕이디 주기요 말이 근데 인디 소소 미세 나로 니르 소에 나로라 소소라 데려 소와데 레운디 땅가기 나라 근데 소와레야디 나랑일라 미비 닝지 레드에 소소라 미비게 랑친신 레드에 근데 삼로 땅에 토네 징니레 소에 나로라 삼로 땅기 근데 제베이나 근데 소소라 베 소소기가 삼로 땅소데 여기 그거레스 디카나는 나랑 냠뇽기 토네 냠뇽기 토네 슈게 칸라나 땅아 로숨 슝기 레제 단다버다 사이니 진데 나바기다 디네 나 로숨 레제데 코두고 다 디디 인디 이나 소소데지 상로 마타나 미 파절라 냐요 말와 근데 이네 나 로숨기 나로라 다 안에 곰바디 나로라 안에 게로 ngopchu 다 디스 인게다 tukchu 요래 다 딘데는 딘데 지소게 나로라 마치 미 망보다 서원이 부춘준다 얘기 써 gem바바도기 삼로당 이는 콘수기 남줄 된다다 당아주 상마에 로가 릴리 인디가스라 상마직 삼로당 조당 삼로 계당당 에너지 강제 톤에 다 로가 차디기 여러분 딘데 인디 다 딘데 이 콘수기 남줄에 넘디 담담 그냥 당봉 알아야 파 남줄 쇼 다지 막 카밀라 파 라고도 아니 러디가슬로 다양한 추수샤는 본다야 디디데 디면서 삼로당 토네 디면은 다 디디 마송아 땅에 디린 코는 좀 데세 된다 맡은 바 콜레 딘데 랍샤스 나라야 딘데 samlo ta losum chibo chegi mara nga chiso gombati nanglo la losum chu sugore losum chu nanglo la mi kyang sumju mi kyang tuchu sinyam to de ne chik samlo yama chelen che de ta ngone na chik dile mo koga ma bora sans dile indi dile ge thone chik susu nyire soe nanglo la samlo tang ya de tabe ne chik hasan ge chimbore do serwa dile indi tingara nyamyong thone chik shuyes ane dine 땅에 중순주 지세나 중순주 지세라는 가 참사기.
그래서
네, 제가 아마 별라 계시 뱅권수랑이 지중으로 계시.
네.
공랑 공로 배 로침부 차내네 구쇼스르다.
그래서
로침부 차는 구쇼스르 봐.
그래서
다 구쇼스르 이거 니마시 에네 다 공랑 공로 로에 차는 그 공로 침부를 때 이나야 라바기 차네 타바다 구쇼 안에 써야 돼 가지고 둘러기 도당기 차네 라바 방림 진에 도고디 코랑 타마델라 마 달기 타마델라 하르바
아 고스버서
타마델라
고스버서 가다
달기
달
오케이
달
it means line last line he stayed last line 라 알라나 라바 방림 라
라바
라바 라나 페나르와 nga ani gembarwa
말레오레레
당보 안에 쓰르와 이 원래 계란 안에 쓰이나 계란 라바 쉔바 ngaile chung 라바 쉔바
알레로
이나야 기시 뱅근수 쉬어디 기시 뱅근수 쉬어디 로기 산에 로 쳔보래 고 공로스타 죽주 대발레 레디스 로이산에 임바야나야 구쇼소 단기 바람기 차네 그랑 라바 쉔바 인상 제기 대사기 랜디 라스트 라인 타마라 타셔야되라
라셀라
제 타마들 슈버와
라셀라
다 슈디가 술라 아니 초라 가르치려나 쇼루레 쇼 여기니 루네 다 쇼루디가 술라 년당소 라바 강마치니 gem바치니 루니 켈기르바 루니 켈디가 술라 아니 기시 뱅권적 얘기 제 타마되네 야 에레스 시니 슈디 강달라 쇼망보 루야도 통래 공기 하고서
the thala the jukla and he shop number the left
he stayed last line and he watching on the first
yogurt.
line. So some monks are putting the card on the who is staying who is staying the first monk.
Yeah. No.
illa sholubiyorwa sholu디 가서라 게세 뱅건쇼 가르삼레라나 오 이게 강달라 쇼페 망보 룩송 나탈레 레디 쇼렙사 마레 쇼조 트로사레 삼레
That's it. 셔티브레 쇼 아니 토야 good 알레 yogurt let's
다 게세 뱅건쇼 가르삼레라나 다 얘기 쇼 차상 얘기 강라루니 참아 조 트로사레 나탈레 레디 쇼디 렙사 마레 고레
yeah no
okay I can only love show
let's not receive the yogurt. All right. Now,
방법 하셔야 돼요.
no, let's hear that. All right. Now, where did it go? All right. Now I have to remember what I wrote at the start. So when we have in our life, we do have this self-cherishing attitude. If we have this self-cherishing attitude, another phone. Anyway, okay. So anyway, and then we have this self-cherishing attitude and this self-compassion. We quite regularly get these two sort of mixed up, But when we talk about in terms of this self-compassion, it's in terms of being of help, being of benefit to others, But then you can question, well, if I'm always being compassionate to others, then don't I myself need to be have compassion towards myself or receive compassion also, So Rinchen Geshma very regularly has over her time, many people have asked her, yes, we talk about compassion and giving and helping others so regularly, but what about me? What about what I need as well, you know. So it's not that we don't need this self-love and self-compassion, and because without that, if we don't have that strong love and strong self-compassion, then those attachments and our very strong desires will come up as well, yeah. But first we need to have that self-love, yeah. And so in terms of our own physical body, but also our internal world, our own minds as well, yeah. So, but usually when we have this self-love, but it's a very biased type of self-love, or very sort of short-sighted type of self-love and compassion, and that's where we meet with different problems. We're unable to bear any sort of uncomfortable circumstances or situations, or when we meet with somebody that we have uncomfortable circumstances, then due to these problems such as desire and attachment and so forth, then we're not able to bear these uncomfortable situations. And this is really due to this over-exaggerated self-cherishing attitude, yeah? Now, so Regina is mentioning this through her own personal experience, yeah? She's mentioning not only about helping others, but this sense of helping yourself as well, yeah? And she regularly thinks about this way, and how to improve herself on a daily basis. Because over these last few years, she's been in she's been in an administrative role in the nunnery. So she's had many opportunities to reflect, you know, and deal with and meeting with uncomfortable situations. And she's finishing this position in May this year. But during this time in the place where she lives and where she's in the admin role of, there's between 150 and 160 nuns, yeah, in this whole compound, I guess you could say. And there are a variety of ages, from younger to older, and they all come from lots of different locations, and they bring along their different ways of thinking, yeah. So, and then sometimes when a situation does get the better of her, and she does get upset and shows it, but she goes back to her room and she reflects and she looks at that behavior. So she's had plenty of opportunities, because she's been not in this role, but she's been in this location at this nunnery for about 30 years.
Wow.
Yes, literally 30 years. So during that time, it's 100 or so other people that are there. Yeah. So she wants to share with us what she does over this period of time and what has been a benefit to her. So this is via her experience. And then so lastly, she wanted to share with us a short story about a monk that wanted to, no, a man who wanted to become a monk, but he was older in age. Because typically, they're not usually that old when they become a monk. But regardless of his age, he still wanted to take ordination. But then in the monastic situation, then it doesn't really depend on the age, the physical age of the person. It goes in the ordination age. And that ordination age is the line, the way that they sit in their lines, yeah, in the prayer halls. So even though this monk was older in age, he was sitting at the end of the line because he was younger in ordination. And he would see the younger monks, but they would receive their good, the yogurt, and was distributed to each person. And he had a fear that because he was at the end of the line, he wouldn't receive any of the yogurt. And that's how we get to yogurt. Let's hear.
Okay. Tene ko karisama ta ti shode ngata le de zo to sare ta shode ngala rasa mare sama tinde samlo ta chi korwa ta ta chi sa la ta tenden zo sare ta ngal le sin ti le ti go sare tenden shode zo sare song samre ta dine te jele yang khung ki samlo ta re o nga tinde samlo tukcha korea de karina ta ya o sele le ti shode samala ta gugorwa Ludi shode hadeore. Ta shode lade ane kongi karasamlo aka ngati samlo koyade karishinu korina. Ne samlo tende dugnyamba duja koyade karishinu korina. Samlo kona hora samlo tantiga solo o ngati namdo tang chakshingi wangi ngati ne samlo korsha gongre. Ta di gongne jela ane shode tama korangi tile lebrwa. shode korangi tile lebdi kongi karishere lana korangi porbaji yorwa. Porba de kabumni share. Kabumni means porba kaola. Luni share. Ane sho lungin de kina sho kalchini chugime pa diri wasana. Nga sho tegini tungsa ins. Nga sho kala ngara tungsa in. Nga sho di songsun. Tinde indi ta kongi le karishure. Ta chik tanda chun lega chun la tinde taje nangi la tema thatu lalen targi yo ta ina yang gese ki pengonjo ki chipachi kyanda ngazo yong marwa ina le ngazo tera tumba khale samlo tangso de khale tangi gyura tro ina ta tende ngazo ngarang so ya ne tika na shi ko nyire nanglo la so nyire choe nanglo la samlo tang de te gyura ta wa ina tende ane ngarang so la chi 미세 된다는 바다 미세 디기 된 바다 아니 신가랑서 레발라 강에 마테 섬나 강에 마테 된데 용토를 했어 아 근데 이제 아니 nga 드링 타마디 인konda 아니 다 가마디 추차가 숨로도 아니 nga dro도 아니 konda 쉐 인스 아니 그런 사마네 아 드링데 투는 가오충 아니 교바 땅아지 비자로 디 라소나 아니 교바 오스트레일리아에 제외해요 아니
Let's hit. Let's hit like Perora Kuchi. Yeah.
Okay,
So
Bye-bye. Thank you for your time.
Bye.
bye again. All right. So, Jed, you can still hear us?
Yes.
Great. All right. So the monk, the older monk, sitting at the very end of the line, yeah, he's still thinking, oh no, I'm not going to get any yogurt. It's going to finish before it gets to me, yeah. But then he stops for a moment and catches himself and says, this is not a good way of thinking. You know, they will surely have enough to give all of us, yeah. And he thinks, like, there's a term in Tibetan called aka, you know, like, like it's a bit hard to explain. Aka is like, aka.
Epiphany?
No, it's like aka, like, you know, that's really bad, you know, like, you know, aka. It's a bit more of facial expression would express that. But he could see that due to his fear and anxiety, his worry is he's worried about not getting any yogurt. But he could see that it was just his mind, his own concepts that are creating that fear and worry, yeah. And as the yogurt came closer and closer to him, he thought, no, I'm going to turn my bowl over, upside down, and place it there. And then when the yogurt distributor came and said, why aren't you having any yogurt? And he said, oh, no, I've already had some yogurt. But the point is that he saw that his own concepts, his own fear, his own worry was the thing that was making him upset and disturbed, yeah. So I guess he decided to distance himself from the whole situation, yeah. So to remedy that fear and anxiety, he cut himself off. So Rinchen mentioned that he was immediately putting into practice a remedy or an antidote to those fears and anxiety. So he was able to catch himself in the moment. Yeah. So that is what practice is. Yeah. And that's why it's a way of life, just as a side note of translator. That's why it's a way of life. Buddhism is a way of life, of philosophy, because we're catching in the moment as it arises before it is coming out in any shape or form. All right, so back. So even though, like, we might not be at that level to quickly and immediately catch our fears and anxieties or whatever is disturbing us at that time, but if we are mindful, yeah, and reflect on a daily basis, we can slowly transform our own thought processes, yeah. So, and then in that way, then we can transform our life into much more happier and more comfortable life. But it needs to be a slow process. It just needs to be continuously practiced. So and then it will be reducing, and then we won't be experiencing those problems in the same way, or we'd be meeting with less problems, yeah. So at that time, Brinchen, the teacher, she said, I'm very sorry to have to leave you here so quickly, but when the Tibetan government in exile sends a couple of delegates to your nunnery, you hop. You hop. So, and she says that all going well, later this year, she will be visiting Australia in person for her if we get a visa. And then until we may or may not have classes with her in between then, but we're looking at August, September, October for her to be here.
Not too hot.
No, not at all. And so that's it. So, Jan, do you want to just stay online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's the end of Brinchen's talk. But I've got my own presentation that I tried to send you.
Okay.
Can you see if you could try the link again?
See if I can try that link again.
Yeah, that would be a big help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do I?
All right. So I'm going to take a drink. So I hope you enjoyed that.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So my interpretation was that he was so wrapped up in this thought of missing the yogurt that it was kind of a bit selfish, that he was thinking of his needs, so he stepped back. That's how I'm seeing it. Like he's like, let go of the need, let go of that selfish feeling.
He could see.
It's not really selfish. How would you say it? It is kind of selfish. Like it's a lot in this like you were saying, a lot of not self-love. What was the other one?
Self-compassion.
No, the other one,
Cherishing.
That's a lot in this day, especially with this media.
Oh my God.
With this media, it's all about me.
Society, like Western society in general.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be so subtle you don't see it until you get to know the person. Then you realise it's always them. And it's.
But what I think he was trying to, he could see that fear of missing out, FOMO, we've got an acronym for it, that fear of missing out was giving him more worry and anxiety.
Yeah.
So you could see that those mental concepts, that's all they are, is the thing that is giving him unhappiness. So he decided to extricate himself from that situation. You know, of course he was probably still hungry, and he didn't say that, but he realized that he needed to stop the emotion that was making him unhappy, and usually to that you apply an antidote or a remedy, which is counteracting diametrically, counteracting. I'm a translator by trade, I've got all the words, but that really directly opposes that negative emotion, whatever that may be at that present time. And that's what the Buddha taught. So in that way, you can live your life.
Because if he just sat there and then got his yogurt, it's like that need that he needed meeting, like that anxiety and all that was met. So it's not actually dealing with that feeling.
Yes.
That's how it's, yeah.
Jen, are you there?
Yes.
My phone battery is gonna die in a minute.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I did not bring a charger, and the car isn't here,
Okay.
so I have to apologize.
That's okay, because mine is about to, my battery's right down as well, but I've got to charge it.
Yeah.
That's actually come up with...
But I'm making a video as well, so I can send you that link to the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that?
Yep.
I'll ring out, and then I can watch the video for the last part of it.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry.
Is that okay?
Yeah, of course, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Vic's come in now, so
Yep.
you know everything's going to make a noise as well,
Yep. All right.
including Vic.
Yeah. All right. Thanks,
So
Jen.
I'll catch up with you a bit later.
Yep. Awesome. Yep. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Jen. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Okay.
Glasses on. I was trying to. How do you pronounce her name? It's Geshema.
Geshe
Geshe.
Ma. Yeah, and that means doctor.
Geshe.
Doctor. Like a
Geshema.
yeah,
is
Geshe Ma.
doctor.
Yep. And Ma. So it's a Tibetan word, obviously.
Yeah.
Rinchen.
Rinchen. Yeah.
Pal.
Pal is the domination that she's at, or
No, that's just her name. Rinchen Pal is like her surname.
so Geshema, Rinchen Pal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not good at wrapping my tongue around some sounds.
No, that's fair enough.
Okay. That's the only reason I got that out for.
All right, now this has gone to sleep. Why? Oh, I give up. That's all right. So, but what? Now, so I did a little sort of, because I knew Rinchen was unable to stay for a long time. So I was going to use the whiteboard and the TV. It should come up.
I'm not blocking your camera. No.
Oh, the camera, no, it should be fine.
I just found the floor more comfortable than the chair.
Yeah, sorry. Come on. Yes, there we are. All right. So I put together just something to look at and sort of some prompts. But what I wanted to do was an introduction to Rinchen. So she mentioned, and my connection with her as well, if you'll humour me, is that temperature, the air conditioner right for you, right?
Right up there.
Great. So, get Rinchen, just for ease of speaking, like she mentioned, she's been at the nunnery for almost 30 years or so, and she got her doctorate degree in 2016. Now, you may or may not know that in Tibetan Buddhism, the nuns have only had access to the same type of study as the monks for the last 40 years at most. That's probably exaggerating. So the course itself takes just over 20 years, but just think of it as a primary school level education as well wrapped up into it. So it's like university, high school, and primary school rolled into one, So anyway, so after 4 years of annual examinations, after that completion of the study, then they get awarded this degree, and they get to be called Geshe or Geshe Ma, which is the female version. So so my connection, so she's only in her sort of mid-40s now, so she got ordained when she was maybe 15 or so.
Oh, okay.
and from His Holiness the Dalai Lama in India. But she was born in Ladakh, in the far north Himalaya of India. So technically, she's Indian, which is very relevant for the Australian visa process. Anyway.
So was it her choice or family's choice? Or?
It's custom, but it was her choice as far as I know. But choices were, or the options of those choices were very limited, But she wasn't pressured, put it that way, And even if she was, at any time from between then and now, she could have given her ordination back if she so chose to, which So anyway, so let's work backwards. So I'm Aussie, but clearly I understand and speak some language. So I spent 4 years at this nunnery that she lives in, and the junior nuns, see, I was older in age, but I was a junior nun. So I sat at the end of the line, and I worried about this yogurt situation, So anyway, but each of the younger nuns, maybe group of 5 or so, they get allocated a senior nun to help look after them, because a lot of these nuns are coming from remote Himalayan villages, separated from their families, and it's a real sense of community and sisterhood. The older ones look after the younger ones. Like, it's very important. So my older nun was Brinton, and any question relating to my state or health or philosophy and Buddhism were all sent to her. I would ask her. So we've developed, and that 4 years started in 2010, and I returned to Australia in 2014. So, and that was 6 days a week. I lived there, but 6 days a week was study and the traditional style of living in a monastery or nunnery, So, and the traditional eating of type of food as well. So every couple of weeks I would go up to the touristy area in Dharamsala and have pizza and pasta and stuff for lunch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The vegetarian Buddhism, is it vegetarian?
Not necessarily, but yes, I was at that time. Yeah, that's another story. But anyway, so going backwards, before I went to that nunnery for 4 years, I spent 6 years in the general area in North India. And that's where I learned language, the Tibetan language, and debate, and attended many of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teachings at the main temple there. So in 2005 until 2014, I was based there. So I went in my early 20s, and in Australia, before leaving for India, I actually became a nun myself, surprise, surprise, So I figured, so before that, in 2002, actually 2003, I met a Tibetan Buddhist teacher in the Blue Mountains. So I grew up and met Tibetan Buddhism in the Blue Mountains, and I felt it was very difficult to communicate with these teachers, and I thought it was really important that I learned Tibetan myself, and I like languages, and as it turns out, the sentence structure of this language is exactly the same as Japanese, which I had learned a bit of in high school. So I'm like, great, So that was my initial motivation to go over to India to learn the language and then come back and be a translator here, But, one thing leads to another, and 10 years passes. But then when I reached 32 in India, my black cat that I've been looking after in India passed away, and I nursed it to its final breath, etc., etc. And I thought, I felt like it was just so easy for me to get up and look after and do this and that, And if I could do this for a animal baby, fur baby, how would it feel, having a human baby of my own that I've physically grown and so forth. So being 32 at that time, I still had my teacher that I first initially met all those years ago, he asked me to do all of that course, that 20-year program. And I said I'll start, and I did the first 4 years. So that program, I still had at least another 16 years to go, yeah? So I'm like, well, if I do that, I'm going to miss out on kids, like literally miss out. Like I'll be like 48 by the time I finish. So I decided to take all my books that we use in our classes and post them back to Australia and move back to Australia and study slowly over the rest of my life, And then I met my husband online, which worked out really great after, a few tried and tested and didn't work out. And then I had 2 kids close together, and that's where I'm up to now. So, but since 2014, Richard and I have kept a very close relationship, and this will be her 3rd time out to Australia. The last time was just before COVID lockdown, and was just after my 2nd baby was born,
It's good to see your kids.
Yes, so they have a really close bond as well, So talk about positive influences in their lives. So she will stay with us for a while she's here, and then the lady that was online, I think that should work out, that Richard will stay with them for a little while. They're over in Exeter.
Oh yeah.
Exeter. And so that's all the connection between us all. So I'm hoping now, so the reason that she's coming out at the end of this year is that she finishes that 3 year of the admin role. But she's also being invited elsewhere in the world, and we're hoping to move forward that she spends 6 months in Australia here and 6 months over there, and do that for the rest of our lives, until something else changes, But that's our goal. So if you are looking for regular online, I will be a regular ongoing, places to come together and reflect. And you don't have to be like every single session, just when you've got the time and you feel the inspiration, we will be here, If I'm still breathing, I will be here Thursday and looking to do more. But again, just briefly, the visa is bit tricky, so I'm not going to be advertising that much because she most likely will be on a tourist visa, I've tried to get a working visa, that's not going to fly. I don't have a salary that I can pay her to employ her, and in order to get a spiritual religious worker visa, you have to be invited by a charity. So I am looking to start my charity, a charity for that purpose, to invite her.
It'll happen.
Yeah. But that's the long term, goals. So that's just the introduction that I really just wanted to share with you, But I really wanted to break it down into, address your where you're at. But this is a workshop on peace and calm, So I'd like to just touch on and hear what you think as well, what peace and calm is, Why do we want to even find it, Why do we want it? And starting where we are, so identifying where we actually are. And what are the things that are stopping us from obtaining this? And keeping that momentum going in our daily life. You know, that's what I wanted to, you know, talk about. So as you know, Buddhism is not a religion per se. It depends on how you define religion, but we don't believe in a creator God. Yeah, it's not a theistic religion such as Islam, Judaism, Christianity, or if there's anything else out there like that. So there is another explanation, you know, whether you choose to accept that, believe that, that's completely up to you. Again, Buddhism, we don't try to say black and white, this is how it is. And we don't force you to accept it without questioning. The Buddha himself literally is quoted many times. The Dalai Lama always quotes that the Buddha himself said, my followers, you know, just like a goldsmith analyzes the quality of the rock in front of them by cutting, burning, and rubbing it to see if it's authentic gold, then you too should analyze my teachings and advice and don't just accept it because I've said it out of respect, you know. And for me, I'm like, you've got me sold, you know. I will look into this. This is worthy of my time. Whether I didn't say I accept everything that the Dalai Lama says, or I say, or Rinchen says, or the Buddha himself said, but it gives us room to be the intelligent human beings that we are. And I'm like, I can appreciate that. Yeah. So if you can appreciate that too, that's great. So in that presentation that the Buddha gave and then has been elaborated on, not embellished, but elaborated on over the 2,600 years by Indian scholars and then Tibetan scholars, is mainly about our internal emotions and our minds, the things that actually drive us nuts, you know, and trying to watch and remedy our own behaviors of our body, speech, mind. And at the end of the day, it's just a matter of practice. It's not super complicated, but the fact is that even if we just take this life, let alone past lives or future lives, we're so in a mental rut, you know, habits, you know, reacting, you know, yell, scream, you know, but we don't have the skills or the tools to, like I said, oppose those negative habits with positive habits. But if we do, we always like, oh, you know, I didn't do it in the moment, you know, and then we beat ourselves up and the downward spiral, you know. But then, so that's what Buddhism is teaching, those skills to find that peace. And therefore your experience, for me, is calmness. Yeah? That gives you the tools to act in a more peaceful way, but the activities that you share with the world is peaceful, but your experience is calm. You know, rather than just a facade of, yes, I'm peaceful, but inside you're like, you know, that's not honest. That's not, you know, true. So does that resonate with you? Yes. In any way? Yes. You know, if you please feel, you know, free to jump in and, you know, but that's the page that I'm on in this at this time.
I'm with you on that, and the fact that I've been on the western side of everything. These are my first endeavours into the eastern, not religions, cultures, what am I into? The philosophies, like you say. And I've even tried the psychotherapy side of it, the medication side of it. As you know, I've had a lot of trauma, and I realised at this stage, prior to coming here, and this is consolidating this, is that it is inside. Your turmoil's inside. Your turmoil's inside. Your turmoil's inside, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And we have to acknowledge it, and then to replace it with something, I don't know, to understand it, to deal with it, all Western words.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's
And
fine.
that's what I'm seeing here now is exactly what I've learned from outside, but I think this is just perfect for me. It's a really
something I could use, I feel, because I'm an overthinker. And I'll overthink and overthink and I'll overthink. Especially like if I'm in a relationship, my last relationship broke up because he wasn't communicating. And you feel like you're talking to yourself after a while, like, and I thought I'm starting to overthink and overthink. I thought, well, hang on, I need to deal with my self-care, and that's what, yeah. So now it's time to
Learn the tools. Learn the tools.
Exactly, yeah.
That's
It's
it.
so important.
That's all we're lacking.
The thing is that our anxiety, which is a type,
It builds up when you can't find an
and you've
outlet
got it
or a
from
way
the
to deal with
past.
it. Yep.
and you're expecting it to roll into the future. And then like the little chappie with his yoga, he was projecting into the future. He wasn't
In the present.
In the moment,
Yes,
in the
yes.
present.
Mm.
So he was projecting into the future. He was expecting bad things, and we really do need to calm that. We need to harness
And
that.
exactly what you said. You're predicting something bad. Like with me, it was like I know where I am. I know where I've been. I didn't know where I was going, and I was expecting.
The worst?
Well,
In
I
the
wasn't being-
case of the lack of the yogurt.
Thinking, yeah. Well, I was with the yogurt, but thinking that just that it's nothing good's going to come from the future because I'm so hung up on here. I need to know how, like you said, the tools to cleanse, I suppose, all those thoughts and make sure, like, I don't know how the words will come to me as I learn, but yeah. But as I see it, it's like realize that those thoughts are not needed. They're not useful. They're not doing me any good, and they're not going anywhere with me. So
Good, great. Well, so why?